Good morning, students. Hope you are fine. Today we are going to discuss Chapter 3 Ecosystem of Class 8th Biology. Students, in the previous lecture we have discussed food chain and food web. Now, today our topics are ecological pyramids, then dependence of plants and animals on each other, and at last we will discuss forest ecosystem. Students, now the first topic which we are going to discuss is ecological pyramids. Now many times you have seen pyramids in Discovery channels. So actually what it is a shape. In sense of this ecological pyramids, these pyramids what actually these are graphical representation of ecological parameters which are present at different trophic levels in a food chain. Whether it is energy, whether it is nutrients, whether it is number of organisms. So, accordingly, the ecological pyramids they can be upright or they can be inverted. So, whether they are upright or inverted, it depends on the ecological parameters. What actually the number of organisms are there, what actually the number of different types of organisms are present in that trophic level, what actually the amount of energy is present there, or what actually the amount of biomass is present per unit area at different trophic level. Students, now this ecological pyramid, it was first developed by Charles Alton in 1927. So already I have told you that the ecological pyramids, it can be upright or it can be inverted. Now see, when it is upright, when magnitude of parameter gradually decrease at successive trophic level, means when the parameters they when we move towards top, they decreases slowly. So it can be represented as, you can see here, the parameter, any parameter, it is maximum, then it is decreasing again, then it is decreasing, and it is least at the top. So this type is known as upright, in which the parameter it is gradually decreasing at successive trophic level in the food chain. Now students, inverted. In case of inverted, what happens? The magnitude of parameter it gradually increases. It is just opposite of upright pyramid. So it will be like this. Least at the starting point, then it is gradually increasing, it is further increasing, and maximum at the top. So now students, these ecological pyramids, they are of three types. One by one we are going to discuss these. First is pyramid of numbers. So from the name only you can identify, it involves graphical representation of or number of organisms which are present at different trophical level. So suppose this is our pyramid. What we are going to represent here, we are going to represent here the number of organisms graphically. So that's why its name is pyramid of numbers. Now students, this pyramid of number, it can be upright or it can be inverted. Upright, I have already told you, this is upright and this is inverted. So with the help of food chain, we are going to understand this. You can see this is an upright pyramid of number for pond food chain. You can see upright pyramid. What is there? Phytoplankton. These are the producer. They are maximum in number. Then further as it is moving, the zooplanktons, the number of zooplanktons here, which are herbivores, they are less. Now in the next level you can see these primary carnivores, that is small fish, they are further less, and at last the top carnivore, that is secondary carnivores, that is large fish, they are least in number. So it is graphical representation of number. You can see here the number is more, then it is gradually decreasing. So it is upright pyramid of number for pond food chain. Now you can see, students, here inverted pyramid of number for parasitic food chain. Now what is happening here? You can see oak tree. Now many birds, you can see producer, that is oak tree, they are less in number, and the number of birds, that is herbivores, the number of birds which are depending on oak tree are more. And further you can see parasites, that is lice and bugs, they are more as compared to birds. So more number of parasite and bugs, they are depending on birds. And at the top you can see more number of bacteria, fungi and actinomycetes, they are depending on lice and bugs. So this is inverted. You can see the number is less and gradually the number, it is increasing. So it is inverted. So these two are example for pyramid of number. Second type is pyramid of biomass. So pyramid of biomass is actually, it is also graphical representation for the living matter or the organic remains which is present at a given trophic level per unit area. So you can see here it is representing the total amount of living matter or organic remains per unit area at a given time at different trophic level in a food chain. Again, the pyramid of biomass, it can be upright as well as it can be inverted. Again, we are going to understand this with the help of the graphical representation of pyramids. Now, upright pyramid of biomass, it is for grassland food chain. Now students, see the organic matter or the organic remain present in this grasses, it is maximum. Here it is decreasing. Again, primary at level of primary consumers or primary carnivores, it is decreasing, and at the top, that is secondary carnivores, it is decreasing. So this is upright pyramid of biomass, means it is based on the amount of living matter or organic remains per unit area at a given time. So how much organic matter is present? It indicates this pyramid of biomass. Inverted one you can see here. This is for pond food chain. Students, you can see phytoplankton less, then zooplankton, it is increasing. Again, the biomass or the organic matter, it is increasing, and at the top level the organic matter or the biomass is maximum. So this is representing inverted pyramid of biomass in upon food chain. Now students, we will move to third type, that is pyramid of energy. Now pyramid of energy, it is also a pyramid in which there is graphical representation of amount of energy per unit area in different trophic levels in a food chain. So what actually this pyramid of energy is? What it is indicating? It is indicating the amount of energy which is present at different trophic level. See, these are the trophic levels. And students, one important thing is that the pyramid of energy, it is always upright. Why it is always upright? Because at the producer level the amount of energy is maximum, and as the energy is transferred it decreases. So it is a graphical representation of amount of energy which is present at different trophic level. Now you can see here producers, like if we talk about plants, they have maximum amount of energy. As the herbivores, they depends on this producer, the energy which is getting to herbivores is less. In the same way, the small carnivores, that is secondary consumer, which are depending on herbivores, they are getting less energy, and the big carnivores or the top carnivores or tertiary consumers, they are getting very less energy. So this is upright pyramid of energy. So the pyramid of energy is always upright. You have to remember this. It is very important point. Now students, we are going to discuss the other topic, that is flow of energy in a food chain. Now students, this topic is very easy. What we have to discuss here is, in a food chain, how the energy is being passed from one organism to another organism. Now, whenever there is flow of energy in a food chain, what happens? The energy from one organism reaches to another organism, and from that organism it further passes to some other organism. So what actually is happening here? There is flow of energy, and this process is a continuous process, and there is continuous flow of energy. Now students, I have drawn here a flow chart. With the help of flow chart, it will be easy for you to understand. Here see, green plants, that is producer, what they are doing, they are utilizing the light energy, they are converting solar energy into chemical energy, and that chemical energy is food. Now on these green plants, humans or herbivores, they are depending. Now humans and herbivores, when they get food from these plants, what they are doing, they are utilizing that food for their growth, to live and to live healthy. Now on these herbivores, these carnivores are depending, and there is flow of energy or flow of food from herbivore to carnivores. So this process continues. So this is how there is flow of energy in a food chain. Now students, we are going to discuss 10% law. It is very important. See here, now whenever there is transfer of food or transfer of energy from one organism to another organism, what actually happens? At each step there is transfer or there is loss of energy in the form of heat. Now students, see, at every step of energy transfer, only a part, that is 10% of the total energy, is passed on the next organism. This is called 10% law. So only 10% of the total energy is passed on to the next level, means to the next organism. So the first organism, like which is producer, it is having maximum energy, and from that, whenever it is going to herbivores, only 10% of the total energy is reaching to herbivore. Now, according to this 10% law, what this law say or states, this states only 10% of the energy entering a particular trophic level of a food chain is available for transfer to the next higher trophic level. Means only 10% of the total energy. Suppose, with example, I will make you understand. This is grass. So, this grass, from grass, it is having maximum energy. From grass, the mice is getting 100 joule. Now, when snakes eat this mice, there is only 10% of transfer, that is, snake is getting only 10 joule. And when this snake is being eaten by the peacock, again there is only 10% transfer of energy. It means only 1 joule is transferred to peacock. So I hope this 10% law is clear to you, and this example, it makes this law clear. Now students, the other topic which we are going to discuss is interdependence of organisms. This is very easy topic, and this is a general topic you all might be knowing. Now see, the biotic and abiotic components, they depends on each other, and this dependence on each other, it maintains the balance in the biological world or ecological balance. Now students, see how human beings depends on plants and trees. So it is a general question also. You can find out some points also regarding this. Now students, see, we are depending on plants for food. We are depending on plants for natural fibers, that is cotton and jute. We are depending on plants for medicinal compounds, spices, wood, timber, rubber, gums and resin. And the most important is we are depending on plants and trees for oxygen, without which we cannot imagine our life. So, human beings are depending on plants and trees. In the same way, the plants, they also depends on animals. How they are depending? You can see here. The plants depends on animals for pollination, seed dispersal and nutrients. Whenever the animals die, their body get decayed and the nutrients get mixed into the soil and they are taken by the plants. And the most important thing is the plants are depending on animals for carbon dioxide. So if this carbon dioxide is not available to them, they will not be able to photosynthesize. They will not be able to make their food. Now student, next is dependence of animals on plants and trees. Again see, like us, animals also depends on plants and trees. They get food from plants. The plants and the trees, what they do, they provide shelters, they provide shade, they provide protection to animals from rain, heat. And again, the most important thing is animals, they get oxygen from plants and trees. Now students, our next topic is symbiotic nutrition. What actually symbiotic nutrition is? In this nutrition, the two plants, they live together as a single plant and they mutually help each other. Students, this is known as symbiont, and the relationship of mutually helping each other is called symbiosis. So symbiosis is a process in which the two organisms depends on each other, helps each other and helps each other in their survival. Students, you can see here the relationship of mutually helping each other is called symbiosis. So lichen is best example of symbiont. What lichen actually is? Lichen, it comprises of two components, algae and fungus. Now algae or alga, it is autotroph, means it can prepare its own food. Fungus, it is saprophyte, it depends on dead and decaying organic matter. Now see what is the role. Fungus, it supplies water and minerals, and alga being green, it prepare food by the process of photosynthesis, and when the food is prepared, it supply organic matter to fungus. So what they are doing, they are helping each other. So the best example of symbiotic nutrition or symbiotic plant is lichen. Now students, parasitic nutrition. Parasitic nutrition is a type of nutrition in which the plants derive its food from the body of host. So the host can be animal or the host can be plant. So the plant or the animal which is providing food to parasites, they are known as host. Now these parasites, they are of two types. One is total parasites and other is partial parasite. Now students, see, total parasite is they totally depend on the body of host for their food. They do not make their food and they are dependent on the body of host for their food. So Cuscuta, that is Amarbale, some bacteria and fungi, these are the example of total parasites. Students, see partial parasite. These partial parasites, they are able to synthesize their food, but for some components they depends on host. Example is mistletoe. Mistletoe plant is an example of partial parasite. Now students, for today our last topic is forest ecosystem, and with this topic our chapter 3 it will be completed, and at last I will give you some homework also, and in the next lecture I will provide you answers of the objective questions at the back side of your chapter. Now forest ecosystem, you all know the living community which are present in the forest are plants and animals. Now these living organisms, they can be classified into following. Producers, you all know producers, they are also known as autotrophs. Producers, examples, green plants. Producer means they are able to make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Consumers, these consumers, they are known as heterotrophs. They are not able to make their own food and they depend on producers for their food. Now you can see students, man, lion, cow, dog, etc. all these are consumers. Now these consumers or the heterotrophs, they are divided into four categories. First, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, saprotrophs. Herbivores, you all know, they eat only green plants like cow, goat, buffalo. They eat only green plants or they eat only plants. That's why they are known as herbivores. So the organisms which eat only plant, they are known as herbivores. Second is carnivores. Carnivores, they eat flesh of other animals. Example, tiger is there, lion is there, hawk is there, jackal is there. Omnivores, students, omnivores are the organisms which eat both plant as well as flesh. So the human, dog, bear, these are among omnivores. we are also omnivores. We are humans, so we are omnivores. Some of us, we eat plants also, plant product also, and we eat flesh also. Fourth type is saprotroph. Student, these saprotrophs are the organisms which depends on dead and decaying organic matter, or which depends on dead and decaying animals and plants for the food. So mushroom is there, yeast is there, bacteria is there, they are examples.